This is June 23rd edition of Back Roads of Illinois with Cesar Delgado. We're Central Illinois agriculture source, and in the Midwest alongside in Central Illinois agriculture, we're glad you're here on Back Roads of Illinois. I am glad to join with you on a Monday. There is great with the heat index within 100 degrees in central Illinois. Otherwise, this summer is underway in the Midwest and across the country, especially since last week, but we will see the weather for the 4th of July weekend. I feel uncomfortable with this heat wave because it is pretty warm for me. I know that you were saying, Caesar, how don't you like the heat? Because I am a Midwestern kid. I like the cool weather in the fall with the harvest season in the Midwest. Okay, we were going to talk with Andrew McCrea from Farm Journal on the Countryside podcast on YouTube. And whenever you get your podcast, we were talking with him about his career with the U.S. Farm Report from Farm Journal. This is your agricultural news and markets update on Back Roads of Illinois. The cattle placement of the cattle on feed report is down at 100. 4% between 100 and 2. 3% from the Department of Agricultural. The wheat markets was pretty down than expected after the close bill from last week about the Russian wheat, and soft bread wheat markets was closed is not great for export to India and other countries as well. In LaSalle County, Illinois, reported that the soil is pretty not very well on the soil in LaSalle County, Illinois. The Department of Agricultural and the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. This is your commodity markets update on Back Roads of Illinois. Corn futures finished in down 2 to 4 cents. Soybean futures finished in down 3 to 5 cents. Wheat futures finished in down 8 to 10 cents. Now that we're going to talk about the livestock market for today on this afternoon. Cattle futures finished in down 7 to 9 cents per weight. Feeder cattle finished in down 4 to 6 cents per weight. Lean hogs finished in down 8 to 10 cents. Texas crude oil finished in up 3 points per barrel. Dow Jones finished in up 3 points. We were coming back with our guest, with Andrew McCrea from Farm Journal on the Countryside podcast. Stay tuned on Back Roads of Illinois. Joining with Andrew McCrea from Farm Journal. Welcome to the show. Let's start with our conversation about your career in the farm broadcasting industry. And how did you decide to work with your own segment on the U.S. Farm Journal?
Well, that takes us back several years. I went to the University of Missouri and had a chance to be in FFA, Future Farmers, and was a state and national officer, but I was also interested in broadcasting. So I got an internship when I was at the University of Missouri and got involved with broadcasting there, but also was still traveling quite a bit to do speech with the idea of doing a segment called American Countryside. And that's now been since 1996. So it has been quite a while ago now, but do that segment then for radio and television for Farm Journal to get today.
Cool, but I am an Illinois guy.
Yes, I know you're from Illinois, so I guess we have a rivalry, Mizzou and Illinois.
Next segment. How did you so interesting thing to your report from that town for the segment? Could you tell our listeners about it?
Well, for all of our segments, I think we're always looking for interesting towns, interesting places. And so, usually, what I'm looking for is stories of inspiration, is what I would call them, from small towns, towns that are doing things well. So, our most recent broadcast is one from New Salem, North Dakota, where they have the largest Holstein cow that is on a hill. And it relates to their heritage, their heritage they have in North Dakota. So many times I'm looking for stories that are ones that have ties to agriculture, but also inspiring. And I like to think that many of us listening to these broadcasts have ties to farming and agriculture, and many of us to small towns. And so hopefully,
Andrew, we're having a discussion about the commodity prices are declining. Any thoughts on this with the world events?
well, certainly declining commodity prices have a lot of us, including myself as a farmer. Um, I don't know if the word is concerned or worried. There are always ups and downs, but I think that right now margins are tighter for a lot of farmers, especially those that might be growing corn and soybeans. So hopefully, the last few years, when we've had some better years for crops and being able to earn some money, hopefully we've been able to put a little of that money in the bank to help us through some years that may be tighter. So uh, I have concern that yes, the margins are tighter, but yet I also realize, having been in farming for a while, that there will be these ups and downs. I feel like that many farmers are prepared for this, and it's one of the normal cycles that we'll go through. So hopefully we continue to kind of weather that, and of course keep developing markets for our products. That's always important. I think we've done, for the most part, a good job of that. But yes, the commodity prices being lower and tighter margins, I think, are on the minds of many.
True, you farmed with your career in Farm Journal. What part of the country?
So I am from Missouri, and the farm is in northwest Missouri. So our acreage has both corn and soybeans, and then we have cattle. Some of our ground is too hilly to be farmed, so we raise cattle on grass there, and have done that since before I was ever even born.
Near Kansas and Nebraska.
Yes. So I'm in the northwest corner, so it's under an hour for me to get to Iowa, Nebraska, or Kansas. So I'm in the northwest part of the state, about 45 miles northeast of St. Joe.
We were talking with Andrew McCrea from Farm Journal. Could you explain to our listeners about your podcast on Farm Journal on YouTube, Amazon, whenever you get your podcast?
Well, the longest running show that I've done is called American Countryside. And you can find it on many of those outlets you mentioned. So AmericanCountryside.com, and we have YouTube as well. And you just type in American Countryside. We even have a book. You mentioned Amazon, called American Countryside, Where Does Lost Luggage Go? And so American Countryside, we've done since 1996. So we've done about 7,000 shows. Those are all done on location all across the United States. Then about 5 years ago, we began a show called Farming the Countryside. And you can find it, farmingthecountryside.com. And And you can also find it on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and so forth. So you can just type those into your favorite social media platform, and have been doing that for a while. That is more farm focused, but enjoy doing both of those. And both programs run over radio as well. They have for a long time, but they're also podcasts, as many broadcasts these days are, both radio and podcast and social media. I think a lot of us in broadcasting have learned to hopefully get the word out along a lot of those channels, because as you know, Cesar, people listen and see broadcasts in a lot of different ways. That's for sure.
Technology is pretty wonderful if it's working.
That is true. And as I get older, it's harder for me to make it sometimes.
Is there anything would you like to go to tell our audience about the crop progress in Missouri for right now?
Crop progress in where I farm has been good. We planted earlier this year than we ever have in the history of the farm. We began April 15th. But we soon had rain, and really were not in the field almost the entire month of May until the very last week. So we have some of the earliest crop we've ever planted, and then we finished planting on June 1st. And we probably had at least 3 weeks where the planter never was in the field because it was too much rain. But the late crop is growing fast. It's catching up with the early crop. We've had timely rains since then. So I feel like that the crop progress on our farm has been good. Now, I do travel quite a bit. I've been in northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. A lot of rain in those areas. Some folks very hard hit. So crop progress there, while the crop went in a timely fashion, I am concerned about a lot of the rain that they've had there. We will see, unless the rain, it was a flooding situation to wipe out a crop. Hopefully that crop will weather those storms all right and still be in good shape. Across the country, it seems like, though, this crop went in very early, a lot of it. And so hopefully we keep getting some rains here and there. It's been hot in a lot of places, but fortunately where I farm in northwest Missouri, while we've had some heat, we've still had the moisture so far to help our crop, and we're doing all right so far. I guess you'd say, knock on wood.
Yeah, same thing in Illinois. Do you have any final thoughts about your experience in Farm Journal?
Well, I've certainly enjoyed being with Farm Journal. It's a great team. You have a lot of great journalists that work in all different types of reporting. So television, radio, podcasts, on the web, social media platforms. I think the thing that I have enjoyed most about my time at Farm Journal, which is now 11 years, is the variety of projects we work on. It's been a lot of fun being able to work on and with many different individuals and companies in agriculture, really see the breadth of agriculture. To me, there's something exciting almost every day. And I especially enjoy working with Farm Journal while also being a farmer. Farming is something that, I was born into, but love. And so being able to farm and to broadcast about the industry of agriculture and farming has been fun for me. So, and certainly enjoying the time working with Farm Journal.
Like with Chip Flory and you as well.
Yes, Chip is a great guy. So Chip with AgriTalk, and then Tyne Morgan, Clinton Griffiths are over on mostly on the TV side, although they do a variety of things. So, and Machinery Pete, of course, well known. So enjoy working with that entire team and a lot of folks behind the scenes as well.
This is Cesar, corner on back roads of Illinois. We will not see some particulation on the acreage report on June 28th from the Department of Agriculture. Last week is pretty warm for the corn crop in central Illinois. They're good, but it is pretty dry, especially in northwest Illinois near the Quad Cities area. The radar has nothing on it for the last couple weeks in central Illinois. Not really on $4 corn on the board for right now. The beef markets are down spot. The beef demand for right now is tighter in the United States. Thanks to Andrew McCrea from Farm Journal on the Countryside podcast. We're running out of time on Back Roads of Illinois. You can listen it on whenever get your podcast. For Back Roads of Illinois. I am Cesar Delgado. Have a great day.